I'm just asking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Well, it
my
wasn't
it was a
coup.
sedan.
okay,
Well, it
you're
was a
saying it's not a
sedan.
coup, but wait, was it? What was it? What was it? Am I?
It was a town car.
It was a town car. Okay,
That
so it
was
wasn't a
supposed to
coupe.
get
Okay, it
right.
was a saloon. All right. Yeah.
was-
Basically,
The
my
P- the
argument,
P is
my
silent, bro.
argument towards that would be
January 6th itself was essentially just a riot with some actors in there that were trying to commit a coup.
Yeah, but that was an intentionally
with
rowdy
him
crowd.
as the leader directing them, essentially.
Well, when you, I don't know. What do you mean directing the crowd? Because Trump never specifically.
So unless
I'm trying to think.
Unless Trump said exactly storm the Capitol.
Oh, come on.
It doesn't have to be exactly obvious. Like,
wait,
you know,
what?
I think it has to be more obviously implied than I believed it was, right?
Yeah,
and I guess that's a level of interpretation based on the person.
You said the January 6th thing wasn't an attempted coup?
Yeah, like I would debate you on that. I don't know.
Yeah, what would you debate? Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, why do you believe it was an attempted coup from the president of the United States?
Well, listen, my friend. First off, I'm just a stupid European who doesn't concern himself that much with American politics, but I know of it because it's fun.
Plus the problem, you guys like stick your nose in here too much when you guys can't even handle your own business. Like, take care of your own house first.
All right.
Listen,
For now, though, let him say what he's gonna say. We're having a discussion
Yeah,
here.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll
Listen,
talk
bro,
about it, though.
this shit is
No,
fun.
no,
Everybody
no.
talks about this, and
Because we're
also,
important, that's why.
I mean, the only thing you can do in your country is vote once every 4 years. So it's not like you have this like amazing impact, or if you're, it's not like you're campaigning and changing people's minds all the time. Or
You can do a lot more than vote. Yeah, sorry, carry
So going back to the January 6th thing.
January 6th. It seems
Yeah,
like
what's up?
Trump on the day of January 6th, like encouraged his supporters to come out and protest. Now he never made a direct call, as far as I know, to try to invade the building, but he definitely encouraged them.
He was giving a speech, and at the hotel,
emboldened
like a
them.
few miles away.
Yeah, and he wanted, by all accounts, he wanted Pence to come in and change the results of the election. He told him to to do something, but Pence didn't. Exactly. So yeah, those things are both like pretty clear cut. Like, yeah, this guy wanted to stage a coup.
Well, I don't say those things are indicative of like staging a coup. The president has a constitutional right to object to the election results, like through like the court and other manners, which he was doing. Which those things were heavily criticized as trying to alter the election, which is what it is.
Well,
It's just the portrayal of it as if it's
Wouldn't
like
there be a difference? Isn't there a
illegal,
difference fundamentally between saying I want you to change the result and I do not believe that the result is valid?
I mean, but that's what
Yeah, good question.
He's saying this is why I don't believe it's valid. It's just his rhetoric is obviously more bombastic than, the underlying truth, right?
Yeah, but the argument was
is.
about January 6th, not court. Yeah.
I guess no. Well, nowadays, do you think there was
Well, the
ever
argument was, do you
a
think he was
reasonable...
trying to stage a coup?
Yeah. Do you think there was ever a reasonable suspicion that the votes were invalid, or that there was ever some reason why a reasonable person might suspect that the votes and the counting was
that becomes a debate over like what you consider invalid, right? So like I'm gonna say I don't believe, any normal person doesn't believe in like, oh, they're rigging the voting machines, like that type of invalid vote. But for example, in certain states they had changed or added ways to vote, like in ways that weren't the proper like channels. So you have to get approval from your state legislatures to add a new voting method, right? And that wasn't done. And so people think that all those votes.
I will add though, we can handle for now.
Like through the proper channels.
The more time passes, the worse these things become. But for now, yes.
For those
anything but World War III. Yeah, definitely agree.
The wide mail-in voting, before it was a specific restricted category for like military and other people like enabled to leave their residence and other stuff, and it was a new category of mail-in voting was created that was applied to anybody, and votes were, or not votes, sorry, ballots were mailed to people's house indiscriminately, right? And some people thought that because
You do realize this guy is like having a debate with the other guy. But the other guy, if he were to ask him like a simple question, which is, how do you define a coup? Because a coup is basically you're trying to overthrow the government. You have plans or a strategy, or you're taking actions to overthrow the current government and replace them with yourself, or yourself as an entity. And well, he literally like riled his forces to basically stage the election so he could become president. I'm pretty sure that is what constitutes a coup. So yeah, let's see how the other guy responds.
Like I'm assuming it was, you know, like somehow insured, or it was like widely tested, or I mean not tested, but like a thought out system, right? It wasn't just like,
I'm not
you
even
know, the
talking
day
about
before the
any-
election they decided to, you know, like make mail-in ballots an option, right? This was like all very
Yeah, this was like 6 months ahead.
Yeah,
this
well,
was
I'm not
6
talking
months
about
ahead,
any
like.
potential weaknesses with mail-in ballots, like the system itself. I'm talking about the way that the system was like implemented wasn't done through the proper channels. You have to get approval by your state's legislature.
By the way, he stated himself, I will have a debate with you about January 6th. So the other guy needs to focus on January 6th. Everything else is irrelevant. He wanted a debate about January 6th and whether that was a coup or not. So the other guy is getting led into a trap of other things, and he shouldn't let him do that. But yeah, that's just how I would handle that.
That the legislature did not set up the particular method, like they didn't have the involvement
Every
in it,
state
and that was
put
the
in
problem.
Emergency measures to open
I'm
up
pretty sure
those.
he's right that every state did.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just saying the complaint from some, you're asking like if there was a valid complaint other than, you know, then that would be one. Some people complain that those, I guess if you're saying they were done
It's not
through
valid
emergency
if it's already
actions.
been, yeah, a lot of the mail-in balloting, it was done because the states opened up the mail-in balloting. It wasn't the federal government overriding the states. It was literally the states putting up emergency measures to allow for mail-in ballots to be a little bit more expanded.
Wait.
And I suppose that the arguments then were that those emergency like measures weren't the traditional channels that it's laid out in the state constitution.
The states wouldn't put the measure out. It being an emergency, considering that we were dealing with a massive pandemic, made it so
Correct.
Like what?
They had more than enough valid reason to do it because they did the same thing back when 1912 flu epidemic.
Okay.
Like, wasn't the original
That's
debate about
understandable.
January 6th and whether it was a coup
Yeah, but
or
this
not?
is relevant to that.
Okay,
because,
okay.
So,
Yeah,
so
we would
the
gone
reason-
Yeah,
down a
the
train
initial
of-
question was like, do you have a reasonable suspicion to believe that the election was stolen?
I mean-
i.e.,
Well, no,
do you think that it may have been justified?
I mean, originally, I
or-
yeah.
I
Okay.
think you need to make a distinction between using like terms like stolen or rigged versus like
A coup.
unduly like what's the word? It's better explained if you read an article from, what was it, Washington Post.
Okay, but
about-
the actual word like coup,
Right, but
coup
like if you were to
d'etat,
say,
isn't
well, just
it?
briefly, if you were to say that there's fraud, that implies some form of premeditation, not just incompetence, at least at the scale that people were discussing it.
Also, the amount of fraud that was going on during that election was actually quite minimal.
Wait,
Yeah, it was pretty much on par, I think, for an election from what I actually understood. But
the majority of it was actually from Republicans instead of Democrats.
like I pretty much.
I mean, I saw stories from both sides.
Yeah, but I'm pretty.
Its majority was Republicans.
Okay, I am pretty sure that it was about whether January 6th was a coup or not, right? I'm just asking.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So
Well, it wasn't a coup.
sedan.
Okay, you're saying it's not a coup, but wait, was it? What was it? What was it? Am I?
It was a town car.
It was a town car. Okay, so it wasn't a coup. Okay, it was a saloon. All right. Yeah, basically my argument towards that would be, well, what is a coup? It's basically you're trying to overthrow the government, right? And if he riled his forces and basically pushed the voting towards a specific direction, as in to make himself win and replace the current government with himself or himself as an entity, then technically speaking, isn't that a coup? Isn't the whole
I
idea of a
think the
coup
coup
to
would be
overthrow the
doing it
government?
illegally, right?
What?
He
What?
would be doing it
Okay,
illegally
so-
if he was trying to go through like the legal channels.
Yeah, but he
like I
didn't
said,
do
the
it
courts
legally,
and
did
stuff.
he? He didn't go through just through
No,
the
there
courts.
were
Good
lots of
definition for the
challenges in the
event itself.
courts.
Yeah, he did
Like,
the
good
courts, but
definition
he
of the
also
event itself.
riled his forces, right?
Well, no, I'll say when you say riled your forces, what do you specifically?
I don't know
mean by
what
that?
you guys were saying earlier, which is basically that he
Well,
bolstered the
Are you
forces.
like
Yeah,
trying to?
he was claiming fraud. He was claiming fraud. He was making quote unquote
Okay,
legal
so
claims.
what's January 6th itself was essentially just a riot with some actors in there that were trying to commit a coup.
Yeah, but that was
So,
unintentionally
With
rowdy
him
crowd.
as the leader directing them, essentially.
Well, when you, I don't know. What do you mean by directing the crowd? Because
Uh,
Trump
I
never
can't
specifically
say
told
whether or not
people
he
to be
directed it,
violent.
but
On the
definitely,
contrary, he told people to not be violent.
Yeah, but he told them
Okay,
to
so
go
he's
into the
not
building and
It's gonna be wild. Stand back.
No,
Say,
no,
what
what he
do you
said.
make of the self account?
We're gonna go
If
down
you
to
want to
the
know
You
his
could say he
quote,
directed people to
Yeah,
the
he-
Capitol.
he-
But you cannot say he directed these people that you were saying were acting.
yeah, when he was giving his speech at like
He
the
roused
hotel
their
in front of the
fears and got
hotel,
them
he
riled
said
up
we're
enough
gonna
to do
peacefully
something.
march to the Capitol and let our voices be heard. And I don't think that implies, storm in.
Do you think he
But wasn't he
emphasized
kind
the
of winking though?
And
peacefully?
then as soon as people started storming in, he went and put out a video that said, "We're the party of law and order. Please respect the police and stop."
No, it
That's
wasn't
definitely
as
not as
soon.
soon
It
as it
took
happened.
like
He sat
4
in his
hours.
office for like 2 hours.
Yeah, so that was like after
Okay,
it
like
had
2 hours
failed.
later. My bad.
It kind of seems like your goal is B
Still
and you do
pretty
A,
obvious
and
what they were
then
trying to do.
What do you make
There
of Gallifrey?
But the
what do you
idea
make
that he
of
like
the-
directed people to go in a building is.
Should they have hung
well,
Mike
yeah,
Pence,
it seems like he made that quote, and basically they were following his directions, and thing escalated. And as a president or a capable individual, you
quote?
can Wait, what?
So,
No,
I
he
was just
was
asking what
enjoying
quote
it.
you were
You said
referring-
peacefully march towards the Capitol. I'm taking your words for it. I'm taking
Oh,
you
yeah,
at
he
face
said
value.
peacefully march to the Capitol
And let our voices be
heard.
heard. How do you make your voices be heard?
A lot of people, you're allowed to chant, protest.
Yeah, but protests get out of
happens all
control
the time in
sometimes, don't they? Sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, just
How?
look at
What is the
summer of
percentage?
2020. Did you see what happened?
What is the percentage of protests that get out of control in quotation marks?
I mean, it depends on the time frame you're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
as far as
obviously,
I
Would
know.
you say
summer of
that,
2020,
like, for
it
some of
was
the people that
often.
did go in, I mean, would you say for some of the people that did go in that they were under the impression that they were, at least when asked by media, other people
Yeah.
there, that, hey, what are you doing? It's like, well, we're trying to take it from us. We have to take it back.
Yeah.
Or, we're trying to go into the Capitol.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
even if it was
I'm trying to look
disjointed
at
and there
the
wasn't like.
FBI did
Yeah,
an
there is
investigation.
definitely a correlation
I'm trying
there.
to look, FBI did an investigation on that, and I don't want to like misquote it, but
Like, I'm not against Trump, bro. I'm just saying, bro, it is pretty much a fucking coup. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
look
No,
it
no,
up.
no. I'm not
It was
talking
like
about.
10 or less % of the people there had that
I'm
mentality.
not talking about the
At least the FBI
percentage.
is,
I'm not
like,
talking about the percentage. I'm
idea.
saying like if you and I have a conversation, right? And
Yeah.
you walk away from that conversation with a certain impression to commit an action that is a criminal act, right? Even if I didn't necessarily tell you like, hey, go into the bank and do X, Y, and Z, if there is enough reason,
yeah.
Okay, I think a
people
better way to
interpret it
explain that
could
is
be
individuals so
because we saw this
wildly
with
that, I don't know.
I think you're onto
well, I mean,
something.
we saw this with like the mafia a lot of times. Like, I mean, they wouldn't say, "Hey,
Yeah,
go kill that guy."
perfect
It might be
example.
like, "Yeah, it would be a shame if I
There's
don't
a
know,
difference
like."
between like having evidence of it, something being implied versus a misinterpretation.
You totally
of
know
words,
that
right?
this was a coup. Like, you're laughing, bro.
I mean, sure, I guess
He's trying to
philosophically.
get away with
sure.
it. Oh my god, dude. Yeah. That's funny. I think that's funny. But yeah,
It's
it
just
kind
that
of seems like
it
it
seems
is.
like the people that were there that were engaging in that behavior seems as though they were collectively, even if it was disjointed, under the impression that they had been given the blessing from
Acting in
who
the
they
best
believe to be the
interest.
rightful
Yeah,
president,
acting
so.
in the best interests of who they believe is the rightful place on the throne. Yeah, it kind of seems. Not gonna lie.
Out of curiosity, do you guys reckon that like this dialogue from Trump was driven by his genuine belief that there's corruption, whatever the fuck else, or some kind of narcissism / desire to save face? Or
I think the answer is yes.
Right.
I mean, I
just
think there's
yes.
a distinction to be
If
made
he's
between.
already-
Just
voting.
yes. Nothing else needs to be said.
Most likely to
Well,
win.
there's a distinction to be made between corruption and then, you know, blatant like rigging of an election, right? You could have it be influenced via corruption, but you like that's a completely different from they like added ballots or they rigged a machine. Like that's completely different from
Alright, I'm
you know,
sorry,
influence,
Gallifrey.
like a systemic influence. You know what I mean?
So you're like saying, okay, yeah, maybe Trump was corrupt. Okay, yeah, maybe Trump
Corrupt? What?
did want to. That you're implying that with your previous statement, what you just said, right?
Huh?
Your implication with what you just said about you can want to change the election because of corruption. The implication is that Trump was corrupt.
No, because the election was corrupt, not because the person wanting to change it's corrupt. It's because it was
Okay, sorry.
the election itself was
It's
corrupt.
funny, isn't it? Yo, I think
via
this shit is funny.
whatever,
I
you know,
enjoy this shit.
Mail-in
sources.
ballots.
But whatever source you say, but yeah, every like argument would have a different level of strength.
I just want to know
right?
your actual position. Like, what's
validity
your
to it.
actual position on January 6th? What happened there? Was it justified? Tell us what you really think.
Okay. Well, to start off, I think that like people, I don't know. I have a problem with like because I'm hard on free speech. So for you to say that like people are responsible for how others actions based on their words, unless it's like blatant, like there's a level of interpretation in there for you to say like they stormed the building because Trump said that he was not happy with the way the election was run and he thought it could have been rigged or stolen, right? But like,
Wait, you think people have
what
a
is
right
saying?
to storm the
How is
to,
he
like, to break
responsible for other people's decisions?
You
I
see
don't
the
think it's
flag,
right to
right? You
storm the
see
building and do any
his
of that stuff,
literal
right?
like
But I think those people are
portrait. You see
responsible
it,
for their
bro.
own bad decisions, and they, you know, get arrested and stuff. But like, I don't
So
think
you think it was like an
urged people
so
to-
like an individual. So like you can treat like a Beyonce concert and then like somehow a riot breaks out. Beyonce just happened to be there, right? But
If
I guess
Beyonce
someone
was
took
stirring
single
the
ladies
pot.
a bit too literally and then started punching people.
Single lady.
So unless
I'm trying to think.
Unless Trump said exactly storm the Capitol.
Oh, come on.
It doesn't have to be exactly obvious. Like,
Wait,
you know,
what?
I think it has to be more obviously implied than I believed it was, right?
Yeah,
and I guess that's a level of interpretation based on the person. But like, for example, I you know, was a Trump supporter, or you know, still am, whatever, but a little less. But I tried to buy tickets to go there, and I couldn't because like every
No, I'm
hotel was filled up.
shocked.
Wait, you have to
Every
buy
hotel
tickets
was
to
filled
go
but
to
at
a
the end of
riot?
the day,
Under the
though, you
impression-
would
but I was
still,
never
but
under the
briefly,
impression that like, oh, you know, freaking they're changing ballots or the you know, machines are rigged. Like that's stupid. You know, like I don't know.
but you would still say though that even if Trump himself may have been just 2 degrees removed from like actual liability, that those that were engaging in that behavior, you could say that they were actually trying to usurp the election results, that they were trying to alter,
That's
like,
what I was
you know,
saying. The
who
FBI
was.
did an
Well, then-
investigation on that and found that a percent, I forget, it was like 10 or under, did have that mindset when going into it.
I remember when he got elected. I didn't really know him. I thought it was funny the way he spoke, but when he said he was a businessman, I was like, yeah, cool, man, because you know me, what I'm about. Like when it comes to money and morals, like give me the money, I'll figure shit out. So when he was elected, I thought it was pretty funny. And then I saw people like crying in the streets and like being all dramatic and stuff. And then I liked him even more. So yeah, poor Trumpy, he tried. He tried his best. There are limits to what he could have done.
Capital at the time that were under that impression that they were trying to usurp the election?
Based upon opinions. Not facts, just opinions and feelings.
Yeah, they were trying to usurp the election. They were yelling it. Hang fucking Mike Pence.
So then
Well,
would you not consider that to be a coup then? Or at least some type
was
of,
like,
I mean,
based on the
does it
definition of coup, it
necessarily
has
need to
to
be
be-
successful per se? I mean that's a
Well, it doesn't have to be successful to be a coup, but to be a coup, it's kind of based, it is by definition based on if you believed their reason was valid in this case.
Okay,
right?
so if
Because
a-
if it was valid, then I don't believe it's unlawful. Like unless I'm wrong, I'm sure it's still unlawful. That's stupid.
Well, it's only lawful if you
Never
win.
mind. That's stupid.
No, I get what you
Starting
mean.
violent
It
and
was
Even
unlawful
if you
are
win,
far
it's
from the
regardless.
it
Even if
was
you win, it's still unlawful. So
No, if you
right.
win, it is lawful.
No, you're
your
saying
new
that
laws maybe, but you broke the laws to introduce your own laws. But...
From their perspective, they were trying to stop a coup.
What?
Interesting.
People actually did
That would be
believe
an
it.
interesting. I would love to see the oral arguments.
I listened to a lot of the talking points on the right and stuff, and that was a strong belief of some people. I wasn't to that point.
Did he want good for all Americans? I think, like, even if he did, this is what I am going to say. Even if he did, there are a limit of things that you can do, even as president of the country, believe it or not, because there is a system in place in which you don't even get to decide everything that happens, and you're only one person at the end of the day with like 300 members under you in total. I think it is like, no, so 480 members under you, which is like the cabinet members, the vice president, all of these guys. That basically you make the decisions for the whole country. For me, it seems fucking stupidity. It's like you have a hospital, you work in a hospital, right? You guys deal with like, I don't know, 1,000 patients a day, and you have like 300 fucking nurses, doctors, people that work on the tills, but somehow we have 300 million people living in a country, and it's okay for 300 to manage that country. Yeah, people can fuck off with that argument against me. It's never going to work. Never going to happen. It doesn't make sense.
Interpretation of that, whether or not he had the right to do it.
It's not.
There's
It's
no.
not.
It's
I
literally.
mean, you can't disagree. There wasn't a debate over it.
No, there is no disagreement. There is fact.
You're an idiot if you actually thought that. Oh, he could just.
Did this come up in the trials at all?
But also,
in the trials, there's been a bunch of recordings that come out that literally have like the people that Trump's talking to saying, "Oh, there's no grounds to move forward legally." Like everybody except like maybe two.
Wait.
Or...
Well, not about the fraud thing. Wait. Not about the fraud thing. Because I know that like there were cases where judges were like, "Are you alleging like fraud on like behalf of your client?" And Trump's team said no. I'm talking about like for the people that were arrested, right? For their defense, like, was there anything there that said like, no, like this wasn't like a coup like that? Like our understanding was that it had already been taken from us, quote unquote. So we thought something unconstitutional already happened.
Why does that change it?
But here's the
Because I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, definitely there must be order. I'm not a guy who's going to tell you chaos is what's going to change the world for the better. It's not going to happen. We need order. There needs to be a hierarchy.
I mean, my headcanon is that he was
try and
Mike
build
Pence
it around the
because he,
people
like, looked
like,
at
that will
Ivanka a
benefit the
little bit
people,
too
whatever.
long, and he just took that person.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'm the boss. I'll take care of it.
Well, yeah.
Well,
except he doesn't have the
it's
power
only
to
true if Trump didn't actually believe it was like the proper process. What if somebody told him that? Say a bunch of people told him it's not, but a few people, like you said, told him it did, and he was like, "Well, I'm going to believe the 2 people who told me I could." And
no,
so with the cases in Georgia, though,
the 2 people were Trump and his son. Okay, like.
Well, I'm saying if they had somebody who told them that, like they got the idea from somebody, maybe they're like, "Well, I'm not going to listen to what I want."
They went around and they asked all the legal
confirms.
professionals within the Republican Party, including like fucking. Oh my god!
And you're saying not a single one of them even like
you don't. So you have no facts. Are you just running off no facts? Because this whole thing you've been just asking questions.
But there's a like he has more than just the the Stormy Daniels like bullshit that's going on. Like there's also the stuff in Georgia. Like if that comes out, right, and obviously it's going to go through as much litigation as possible. He'll try to fight it, obviously, but it seems like he was contacting different state leaders to basically go against what they're constitutionally obligated to do based on like the 14th Amendment. So I mean,
hey, we need this many votes just to win. Can you give us just enough votes?
Oh yeah.
yeah. You can't go out and find the vote. Like that's not how it works.
Of that, I mean, the context of that conversation is Trump had like had data to show. Oh, say like this. I don't remember the exact numbers, right? Say there's he
he
was lost.
He had the exact numbers because he went he lost by from what
He lost by 10 votes, going
I'm
once.
just saying,
well,
say he lost by 10,000 votes, and then he has data
Yeah, he
that
wants
says,
the exact number
no, listen,
of
say he
votes.
lost by 10,000 votes, and he has data that says, oh, we believe there's like 22,000 improper ballots or invalid ballots,
No,
right? In our mind. He says, we only need
subtracted the exact
22,000.
amount.
Find. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He
Wait,
says,
wait, no,
we only
but do you
need
okay? But do you
many.
realize how that's an
He's saying we
important
only
word
need to
there?
find
Like,
that
it's
many
the different.
He's saying we only need to find 10,000 out of the 20,000 we suspect to be there.